very systematically and most of the aspect is covered. I like to add only a few things as I got few answers here. One is how long of this injection. As much as patient is alive and wants to get injection and wants to continue with good vision. That is the problem with this medication. Because it has got a short lasting effect. We are giving an injection at every 3 weeks or 4 weeks interval, 3 doses. After that we continue to evaluate it mostly by OCT, and if required afterwards it has to be given. So there is the answer. What is the answer? That is the photodynamic therapy. Regarding this photocoagulation procedure, I just like to make you understand only one thing, is that it destroys neovascular new vessels. So in diabetic retinopathy there is neovascularization, but we don't give it. But in case of neovascularization just below the fovea, we give it. Why? The reason is that you see, this diabetic retinopathy neovascularizations mostly occur along these blood vessels, that is a lot away from this main central part of the vision. So that's why laser can be nicely applied even without any photosensitizing element, and those can be destroyed. And the mechanism is also different. The mechanism in diabetic neovascularization is hypoxia. So the main aim of the treatment of diabetic retinopathy photocoagulation is to destroy those hypoxic areas, maybe somewhere here, or maybe the whole peripheral retina, leaving only the central portion. But in case of ARND, the neovascularization is at the most vital part, which cannot be touched by laser. So there is basically the problem. So that's why all these medications are coming up and all these procedures are coming up. So that part I think most probably I have cleared it. Next is, so how much I have answered. Next is photodynamic therapy, its role and age. So basically the ultimate answer is photodynamic therapy, because it destroys the neovascular membrane. Anti-VEGFs do not destroy the neovascular membrane. There is the problem. And there is the continuation and prolongation of the therapy. So photodynamic therapy, I shall be coming in the next point. Next is prophylaxis. Prophylaxis you see mostly in the lifestyle. Two things are most important located through the demographic study. One is sunlight and another is smoking. Smoking has got a strong devastating effect, and the most important is withdrawal of smoking increases the vision and decreases the propagation of this disease.
So continue smoking.
Stoppage of smoking. Stoppage of smoking. It reduces the risk of propagation of this disease in the person. And another is sunlight. In the demographic study, it has been seen that mostly peasants and people, the field workers, they are mostly affected. To lack hours of sunlight exposure is damaging retina, is devastating to the retina. So the use of goggles and use of visors, that question comes. It is effective, little bit effective, but not fully effective. So deep color goggles is really recommended for outdoor activities. Next is, I have told about the lifestyle and preventive medication. Regarding the antioxidants, etc.
Regarding sunlight, you have said the exposure of sunlight causes increased prevalence of this disease. Yes. But in that prevalence geographic distribution, whites were more affected than the black. And the Africans are basically black.
Yes, sir. There is the answer. I explain it. In our eyeball, we have got highly pigmented iris and choroid in black races, and lightly pigmented iris and choroid in white races. And there is the answer. That's why it is more common in the white people. So next is side effects. Side effect, I think she has answered very nicely. Only thing I like to highlight is we can divide side effects in two ways. One is related to the procedure of giving the injection in the vitreous, and another is the drug itself. So drug itself has got very little side effects. and that one or two case reports on the cerebral thrombosis, but those have been statistically established that that is due to this particular medicine. And another aspect is giving the medicine in the vitreous. Vitreous is a very good food for the bacteria. It's a very good culture medium. So the incidence of endophthalmitis after giving this injection is higher than usual cataract surgery. There is the risk. Next is so now I come into the question of bevacizumab and ranibizumab. It's the first thing we have to understand that these two medicines is manufactured by the same manufacturer company, Genentech Corporation of USA. So try to understand, these people have given in market two medicines, one for metastatic colorectal carcinoma, systematic bevacizumab, and another is this ranibizumab specifically for intraocular. So they would, I think, when I talk to them unofficially, those people marketing in India the Avastin, that is the bevacizumab, and nobody is marketing in India this ranibizumab. When I asked those people, he told me, doctor, you realize this is being manufactured by the same manufacturer. So they will never develop bevacizumab for intraocular use because they have already given one for intraocular. And most of the research works of giving this injection intraocularly, its chemical structure related problems, its transmission through the layers of the retina, that is very important because we are giving in a vitreous, it will pass through all the layers of retina and then outside it will reach the neovascular blood vessel. So all these studies are only done on ranibizumab. Now what is being done is, due to the low cost, the ophthalmologists are using it, this bevacizumab, thinking that structurally they are very near, so they will act in the same way. But one thing we have to realize that throughout the world, many official trials has been done, and those literatures has come up. So where is the fallacy and where is the problem? These literatures, when these trials has been done, they must have taken the permission of the ethical committee in their own setup. There is an ethical committee nowadays. It is mandatory. Whenever sending any research work, there we have to mention that ethical permission has been taken or not. If not taken, if there is any ethical committee present in that hospital or not. That means ethical committee has passed it. But still it is not recommended for use, and where are the problems, I tell you. After a lot of discussion and furor everywhere and everything, most probably around 2 or 3 months back, Dr. Varun Naik, who is the editor of Indian Journal of Ophthalmology, Indian Journal of Ophthalmology is now an index journal, it is a peer-reviewed journal. Basically in his time this development has been taken place. He came up with an editorial on this burning issue, and there he told something about the off-the-label use of drug and everything. Basically, off-the-label use of drug is, I like to explain you in little detail that suppose injection gentamicin is meant for either IM or IV use written on the file. But sometimes in ophthalmology even, nowadays we don't use, previously it was used as a subconjunctival injection immediately after completion of cataract surgery. Now this use is off-the-label. But where are the problems? Only one example I give you. In our hospital, sometimes our sister concern, this ENT clinic sometimes run short of drug and they take our eye drops and they use it. Sometimes Dr. Verma even has taken it. It can be given, no problem, but explaining to the patient. Sometimes patient asks, sir, it is written here eye, should I give it? It can be given with explaining to them. But the problem arises when sometime when we run deficit, we use ear drops, there is a lot of resistance from the patient. Sir, it is for meant for ear, should I use really for eye? So there is the importance of really, I don't highlighting my own sentiment, but this is the usual sentiment of ophthalmology. People think that something should not be used in eye which is not meant for it. Only few days back, I have got this message from one of our colleague doctor. It is written here, his mother's surgery was supposed to be done. In the morning I got that message. Sir, eye is most valuable thing. So please use the best lens in the world for my mother. That was the request. The reason is that using anything not meant to use for eye, if we use it, prior we have to explain to the patient. And there is the problem. Where is the problem? I tell you. Now in that editorial, Dr. Naik also has informed that he wrote to the Government of India, particular this authorizing cell, licensing cell, about this off-the-label use of particularly Avastin in India regarding this issue. Government remains silent. He wrote a second letter. Again government remains silent. He wrote a third letter, there was no answer. And he has written it in that editorial. So government don't want to take the risk. There is the problem. Another aspect is explaining to the patient, and people are really using it outside. When the patient is spending the money from his own pocket, if everything is being explained to them, when there is a low cost and there is a higher cost where option, people with having less money will sincerely opt for the low cost. But in railway we have a problem. We are supposed to provide all the medicines to them, and they know that there is an option of higher cost option, and they will never agree for this Avastin. There is the problem. Even when a VIP also comes, they will push it. This medicine, nowadays everything is available in net, that this medicine is available, please prescribe it for me or refer me to Shankar Netralaya. In the previous days we have also referred it to Shankar Netralaya. Even before this medicine was available at this hospital, we are referring these patients to PR Singh hospitals because they started it long back, Ranibizumab, and they have already come up with some their research works on this also. So now we have started it. I think probably this part I have cleared, this problem of Bevacizumab and Ranibizumab use and everything. Now what is our setup doing regarding this age-related macular degeneration, everything. Nowadays, after the completion of this medical retina clinic, we have got the investigative facility of digital fundus fluorescein angiography, and we have got the facility of laser, that's a 532 nanometer laser. Okay. So we are deficient only with one machine, that is optical coherence tomography, OCT. And for this age-related macular degeneration, the qualitative diagnostic part is done by digital fluorescein angiography. We are doing it here. But quantitative estimation along with its follow-up after giving the injection etc. is mostly done by optical coherence tomography. This year, the proposal that has gone through CME Railway Board, optical coherence tomography is in the top priority in the one position. I am thankful to the administration and our authority for providing this machine. I think within 2 years it will come here, if it goes on everything smooth and everything moves in. So after getting that machine, we will be not foolproof, one is still deficient, almost foolproof in treating these disease conditions. Now come the question of photodynamic therapy. Photodynamic therapy, nowadays we are referring the patients to Shankar Netralaya Chennai as we have got a tie-up, and regarding the hassle of this reimbursement etc. is less when we refer the patient to Shankar Netralaya. Cost of one sitting is 1,20,000. No problem, patients are getting it, they are getting reimbursed also, because railway is really thing for the patients, not that they don't think, and is providing the service also. But in the meantime, one thing I forgot to tell you is also regarding that use of anti-VEGF. Central government health service is also providing this Ranibizumab to their patients. In fact, when I inquired to our friends working in central government health service, I came to know that it initiated first with the involvement of a VIP. He got this working in central government health service, and through the nets etc. he got all the informations, and ultimately he could materialize the procedure of reimbursement and everything. And after one procedure is done, the procedure is smooth for other people also. So now I am coming into the photodynamic therapy. Now this photodynamic therapy, what we are having, what we are not having. We are not having that particular laser that is 640 nanometer wavelength, but not at all a problem. Probably we don't have to purchase it. We are having the investigative aspect, DFA. we will be having the OCT very shortly, and next is this photodynamic therapy laser. Nowadays, this particular dye vateformin that is being marketed by Novartis, they have come with a unique project. For any patient, they come with that particular wavelength laser machine to that particular setup. They charge only maybe around 15,000 rupees for one sitting of that particular laser. They charge their medicine that is getting used, and it comes only around 80,000. So 1,20,000 will come down to 80,000, and patient will don't have to go to Sankarnetralayo and anywhere else set up outside our own central hospital. So that proposal, I have already collected a lot of data, their own proposal, and what is the cost being taken in Calcutta in private setups and everywhere where these procedures are going on. And I think I will be able to put this proposal within coming 15 days. And I think it will be accepted by authority and it will come out. So that's about all the questions and about our setup, what we are doing there. I am grateful to the audience for allowing me to share all these things with all of you. Thank you.